And the other category of broken authentication that we'll talk about is information leakage. And this one's a little simpler to explain. It just comes down to situations where the designers or the support staff of the system haven't spent the time on implementing a good design for how secrets are handled or how sensitive data is transported. And this means that imagine that this is, again, like a health system or a financial system, HR system, anything that carries personal data, sensitive data, data that shouldn't be exposed. If there's not the right set of guards imposed between records, and there's not the right kind of tools used to filter out data between stages in the infrastructure, and most importantly, if there's a lack of testing, and when I say testing, I mean really throughout the cycle, both like during the design, after the code was written, during any kind of test phase or acceptance phase, and then also just in production where nobody's really checking what kind of data gets leaked by improper use of the system. And when I say it gets leaked, it really just means that suppose you have some data that's part of a template, right? Like a view template. And that view template has some commented out lines of code. And whoever it is thought that they're commenting it out so that it doesn't get rendered to the user's browser. But what they didn't realize is that their commented out code was actually getting rendered into an HTML comment instead of commented out in their server-side language. And now some sensitive information ends up on the page, or it's just hidden inside the markup or inside the JavaScript, or it's just available easily if someone can see what the potential URL structure is and they can guess how to get to the rest of the data. There's some weak encryption where the encryption doesn't really hold. It's suppose like strings that are sent to the browser that are base64 encoded that somebody can just take and decode on their own machine. And all those things can be considered to be information leakage. But in this case, what we're really talking about is we're talking about the login and logout type of information leakage. And that's where we get some really funny situations where somebody is using either outdated frameworks or they're using something along the lines of home-baked or home-brewed systems where they came up with it themselves and did the requirements themselves. And so what they end up with is systems that if you log in with a username and password that are incorrect, will actually tell you, oh, this username is correct, but this password is wrong. Or even worse, they might tell you something like, this password is correct, but this username is wrong, which you know should never happen. But there are systems that will do that. Or sometimes the system will tell you, oh, this password used to be correct, but there's a new password now. Or you know, any of these kind of examples. There's also systems that will still to this day send you a password reset email with the old password included in the plain text of the email, and there's also not a expiration of the password automatically. And suppose there's also ones where there's unsuccessful logins, and then after a few, it just kind of lets you use a different mechanism to log in, one that is actually simpler. And there are sometimes systems that suppose in one scenario will show you information that in another scenario they ask for to verify who you are. So imagine that you have a system where you can call in and talk to a person and they will tell you something, and then you can go to the website and in the login form enter the information they told you in order to gain access, like suppose account number or something like that. And those systems are broken in terms of the authentication, and it's because if you know what you're doing, you can get sensitive information about the login without really knowing any secrets to begin with.